Chapter 41. The Sudden Raid. The group's secret base was hidden deep within the mountain range, shielded by defensive formations meticulously crafted by Luke Fong. However, after the massive tremors caused by breaking the seal, an unease loomed over them. "We can't stay here much longer," Xuanhuan said, scanning the sky with a wary gaze. "Blackheart won't let this go unanswered. I've reinforced all the defensive formations," Luke Fong said confidently. "But we need to prepare for the worst." Lin Wu stared toward the horizon, where thick, ominous black clouds were rolling in. "We can't keep running," he said. "If they come, we'll face them." Night fell, enveloping the base in an icy silence. Suddenly, a massive surge of malevolent energy tore through the sky, heralding the arrival of Blackheart's elder and his army. "Everyone, take your positions," Luke Fong shouted, activating the protective formations. Hundreds of Blackheart's minions appeared, surrounding the base. The roars of feral spirit beasts echoed, mingling with the battle cries of the approaching army. "Lin Wu, lead the main group to protect the artifact," Luke Fong said, his eyes resolute. "I'll hold them off here." "No, we fight together," Lin Wu protested, but Luke Fong shook his head. "If we're all tied up here, no one will safeguard the artifact. This is my duty." Standing at the center of the formation, Luke Fong formed intricate hand seals, unleashing a series of offensive and defensive arrays. Frostfire Barrier Formation, a powerful shield of fire and ice, incinerating or freezing any enemy who dared approach. Soul Shatter Formation, a devastating offensive array that targeted enemies' spirits, weakening their ability to fight. Every formation was executed with precision, slowing the advance of the malevolent forces. "You can't stop me," the Elder of Blackheart growled, unleashing a surge of black energy that cracked part of the barrier. "Try me," Luke Fong replied, his eyes blazing as he summoned even more powerful formations. Lin Wu's group joined the fray. Snow White charged into the front lines, her every sword strike precise and lethal, cutting through waves of enemies. Yen Nhi provided crucial support from the rear, using her poison techniques and recovery pills to aid her allies. Lu Tanhan displayed the prowess of a seasoned elder, his attacks shaking the battlefield. Despite their efforts, the sheer number and strength of Blackheart's forces kept breaking through the defensive layers. The Elder of Blackheart finally broke into Luke Fong's formation, overwhelming the defenses with his immense power. "You think you can stop me?" he roared, releasing a colossal surge of dark energy that shattered most of the formations. Exhausted but unyielding, Luke Fong activated his final array, the Primordial Skybreaking Formation, a forbidden technique capable of devastating both sides. "You will not pass," Luke Fong declared, his eyes blazing with resolve. The formation erupted, triggering a massive quake that obliterated a significant portion of the enemy forces. But the cost was severe. Luke Fong's energy was completely drained, and he collapsed. "Luke Fong," Yen Nhi cried out, rushing to his side. She quickly administered a recovery pill, but its effects only partially restored him. "I'll be fine," Luke Fong said weakly, his gaze unwavering. "We protected the artifact." "You've done well," Lin Wu said, his eyes filled with gratitude. Seeing his forces severely diminished, the Elder of Blackheart stepped back, his eyes burning with fury. "You won't escape again," he snarled. "I will return, and next time, none of you will survive." He disappeared with his remaining forces, leaving behind a battlefield littered with destruction. As the chaos subsided, the group gathered to tend to their wounds and reinforce their base. "We can't stay here any longer," Lu Tanhan said. "Blackheart will return with even greater strength." "We won't run," Lin Wu replied firmly. "It's time we take the fight to him." Though weary from the battle, Lin Wu knew they had to prepare for an even greater challenge, a confrontation not just of power but of will. "We can't stop now," he said, his eyes blazing with determination. "This is just the beginning." Chapter 42. The Spiritual Battle. After the fierce battle at their base, Lin Wu's group realized they could no longer delay confronting Elder Blackheart directly. As they prepared for the final showdown, Lin Wu suddenly felt an overwhelming force pulling him toward the Black Dragon Sword. "Lin Wu," Yen Nhi cried out as she saw him collapse, still gripping the sword tightly. "I'm fine," he muttered, but his voice faded as his consciousness was drawn into a dark, mist-filled void. Lin Wu found himself in a strange world, shrouded in dense black fog. A booming voice echoed from the void. "You've gained enough strength to face the final trial. But are you worthy of wielding my power?" A massive figure appeared before Lin Wu, the Black Dragon, the spirit of the ancient sword. Its glowing eyes bore into him with an air of majesty and cold authority. "The Black Dragon Sword is not merely a weapon," it declared. "It is a vow, a burden, and a test. Do you have the will to control its power?" I do not seek power for destruction, Lin Wu replied, his gaze unwavering. I seek to protect those who matter to me and uphold my ideals. Words are not enough, the black dragon roared. You must prove yourself. Lin Wu was plunged into a series of spiritual trials, forcing him to confront his deepest fears and doubts. Betrayal. He relived the moment of betrayal from his past life, watching his former comrades turn their backs on him. A voice taunted, you will be betrayed again. Everyone you trust will abandon you. Failure. He saw the people he loved, Yan Nhi, Bok Tuyet, Luke Fong, slain before his eyes, while he stood powerless. Ambition. A darker version of himself appeared, wielding the black dragon sword and sneering at him. Don't you want power? Surrender everything, and you can have it all. Kneeling under the weight of these visions, Lin Wu refused to give in. You can tempt me and try to frighten me, he said, his eyes blazing with determination. But I will not falter. I fight not for myself but for those I wish to protect. The black dragon appeared again, observing him with a thoughtful gaze. You've overcome the first trials, it said. But the final test still lies ahead. The black dragon transported Lin Wu to another realm, where Elder Blackheart awaited him, his sinister smile radiating malice. Do you really think you can defeat me? Blackheart roared, his dark spiritual energy enveloping the entire space. The spiritual battle commenced. Blackheart unleashed illusions and malevolent energy, aiming to weaken Lin Wu's resolve. Lin Wu focused on controlling the black dragon sword, wielding its power to counter Blackheart's mental and spiritual assaults. You must overcome his will, the black dragon's voice echoed. If you fail, your soul will be destroyed. As the battle raged on, Lin Wu realized he couldn't rely on physical strength alone. He needed a deeper connection with the black dragon sword. You're the first to challenge me, he said, his eyes burning with fierce determination. Now witness my power. With unwavering will, he fully unlocked the sword's power. The blade emitted a blinding light, and a surge of destructive energy erupted, enveloping the entire realm. Blackheart's attacks were repelled by the overwhelming force of the sword. Even Blackheart himself began to falter. With his newfound strength, Lin Wu delivered a decisive blow. The black dragon sword tore through Blackheart's dark spiritual energy, bringing him to his knees. Do you think you've won? Blackheart snarled, his voice filled with fury. This battle is far from over. His figure dissolved into shadows, leaving Lin Wu alone in the spiritual realm. When Lin Wu awoke, he found himself lying on the ground, surrounded by the worried faces of his comrades. Are you all right? Yan Nhi asked, her eyes glistening with concern. I'm fine, Lin Wu replied, his voice steady and determined. But we must prepare. Blackheart won't stop. Looking at the black dragon sword in his hand, he knew this newfound power would be crucial in turning the tide of the war. Now that we have the power we need, Xuanhuan said, it's time to take the fight to the sect and overthrow Blackheart. We won't do this alone, Bok Tuyet added. There are many disciples within the sect who also want to stand against him. Then let the rebellion begin, Lin Wu declared, his eyes blazing with determination. Chapter 43, Uprising in the Sect. After regaining their strength and meticulously planning, Lin Wu's group made their way toward the sect, a place that had once been Lin Wu's home but was now a tool of Elder Blackheart's ambitions. We will not let the sect remain in darkness, Lin Wu said, his gaze sharp and resolute. This won't be easy, Xuanhuan replied. Some will resist, not because they're loyal to Blackheart, but because they're afraid. Then we'll convince them, Snow White said, gripping her sword tightly. With our strength and ideals. The group quietly infiltrated the outskirts of the sect, where low and mid-level disciples were training. Lin Wu stepped forward, his expression unwavering. I am Lin Wu, a former disciple of this sect, he announced, his voice echoing across the courtyard. I've returned to free this sect from the corruption and darkness that Elder Blackheart has brought upon it. The disciples stared in shock, murmurs spreading through the crowd. A young disciple stepped forward. Do you really think you can defeat Elder Blackheart? He's stronger than anyone. No one is invincible, Lin Wu replied. True strength doesn't come from fear, it comes from unity and justice. I need you to stand with me to reclaim this sect. Lin Wu's words began to resonate. Some younger disciples, already dissatisfied with Blackheart's rule, started to step forward. I believe in you, one disciple said, determination shining in his eyes. If you have the courage to stand against him, so will I. However, not everyone was convinced. A few disciples drew their swords, suspicion in their eyes. Who are you to call us to betray our elder? One shouted. A brief skirmish broke out, but thanks to the group's strength, the opposing disciples were quickly subdued. Those who witnessed the fight began to see Lin Wu's power and determination, and their doubts started to waver. News of Lin Wu's presence quickly reached the sect's elders. One of them, Elder Gai Ton, secretly approached him. I've been waiting for this day for a long time, Gai Ton said, his voice filled with emotion. Blackheart has turned this sect into something unrecognizable. I want to help you. Aren't you afraid of being discovered? Snow White asked, her gaze cautious. I can't stand by while the sect sinks further into darkness, Gai Ton replied firmly. Not all elders agreed, however. Elder Xuanhuan, one of Blackheart's close allies, led a large group of disciples to confront Lin Wu's group. You are audacious, Xuanhuan said coldly. There's no place in this sect for traitors. You're the real traitors, Lin Wu retorted, his voice commanding. Betraying the ideals and values of this sect. A fierce battle erupted between the two sides. Snow White faced Xuanhuan head-on, her sword strikes sharp and precise, forcing him to retreat repeatedly. Xuanhuan held back the stronger disciples with his seasoned strength and experience. Yen Nhi used her poison techniques to weaken the enemy's formation. Lin Wu shone with the power of the Black Dragon Sword, his every strike infused with killing intent, overwhelming his foes. Gradually, Xuanhuan's forces were overwhelmed. Defeated, he retreated but not without a parting threat. Blackheart will not forgive you. After their victory, more disciples rallied to Lin Wu's side. They saw hope and justice in him. This sect needs change, one disciple said. And you're the one who can bring it. Lin Wu felt a warmth in his heart as he saw the growing support around him. The group convened to discuss their next steps. We need more allies, Xuanhuan said. This sect alone won't be enough to defeat Blackheart and his forces. There are smaller sects dissatisfied with Blackheart's rule, Yen Nhi said. If we can convince them, we could form an alliance. Then let's do it, Lin Wu said, his eyes blazing. This isn't just our sect's fight, it's a fight for everyone who wishes to escape the darkness. The group decided to leave the sect temporarily to seek support from other sects. We will return, Lin Wu told the disciples who had joined him. Be ready, the real battle is just beginning. Chapter 44, The Alliance of Sects. After stabilizing the situation at their sect, Lin Wu and his companions set out to seek support from other sects. Xuanhuan led the group to smaller sects he was familiar with, ones that had connections to their sect in the past. These sects once resisted Blackheart, Xuanhuan explained. But they've been forced into isolation. If we can convince them, they'll become powerful allies. Not everyone is ready to stand against such a malevolent force, Yen Nhi replied. We must make them see this as their only chance. The group arrived at Tian Shan sect, a small sect nestled deep within a valley. Its leader, Sect Master Li Tan Van, greeted them with skepticism. Do you truly believe you can defeat Blackheart? He asked, his gaze probing. This isn't just about defeating him, Lin Wu replied. It's about reclaiming freedom and justice. If we do nothing, we will all remain in darkness forever. Li Tan Van remained silent for a long moment before finally nodding. If you have such determination, Tian Shan sect will support you. But remember, this is a battle with no way back. Next, the group approached Zhan Shui sect, renowned for its formation masters. However, this sect proved far more cautious. We've already lost too many in previous battles, Sect Master Nok Lin said, her voice heavy with sorrow. If we fight again, we may lose everything. But if you don't fight, you'll lose everything anyway, Xuanhuan argued. Blackheart won't stop at controlling one sect. He will continue expanding his power. After hours of tense discussion, Nok Lin finally agreed. We will aid you, but I hope you won't make us regret this decision. The group continued their efforts persuading other small sects, including Tan Van sect, renowned for its skilled sword cultivators. Han Shan sect, experts in poison techniques and healing. Each sect had its own concerns and hesitations, but Lin Wu's sincerity and determination gradually won them over. We've all been isolated, and that's why we were overwhelmed, Lin Wu said during a large meeting with the sect leaders. But united, no one can suppress us. Not everything went smoothly. Some members of the sects opposed joining the alliance, believing it to be a suicidal mission. Why should we fight in a battle with no hope? A young disciple demanded. Because hope is something we create, Bak Tuyet replied, her gaze cold and sharp. If we do nothing, hope will never exist. To persuade the dissenters, the group organized a demonstration of their skills, where each member showcased their exceptional abilities. Their coordination and prowess quickly silenced the opposition. In the end, all the sects agreed to form a unified alliance. Together, they devised a comprehensive plan for confronting Blackheart. This will be the greatest battle we've ever faced, Xuanhuan said. But with this strength and unity, I believe we can triumph. The alliance began preparations for the impending battle. Zhan Shui sect constructed defensive and offensive formations. Tan Van sect trained its sword cultivators to form the main assault force. Han Shan sect produced poisons and elixirs to support the troops. Lin Wu's group took on leadership roles, coordinating operations and inspiring the allied sects. During their preparations, a terrifying omen appeared. A massive pillar of dark spiritual energy erupted from Blackheart's sect, signaling that he was orchestrating a sinister plan. He's summoning something, Yen Nhi said, her eyes filled with worry. We need to move faster, Lin Wu said firmly. We can't let him succeed. With the alliance formed and the sects ready, the group began their march toward Blackheart's sect. Now is the time to prove that righteousness will never fade, Lin Wu declared, raising the black dragon sword high. The entire alliance echoed his rallying cry, preparing for the greatest battle of their lives. Chapter 45, The Final Scheme. News of a massive black pillar of spiritual energy erupting from Blackheart's sect spread quickly throughout the alliance. Sect leaders and disciples alike could feel the evil power accumulating. He's preparing something catastrophic, Xuanhuan said gravely. It seems he's no longer concerned about maintaining control, Yen Nhi added. He wants to destroy everything. Then we must act now, Lin Wu replied, his gaze unwavering. The alliance swiftly marched into Blackheart's sect territory, encountering fierce resistance from his minions. However, through unity and carefully coordinated strategies, they broke through each defensive line. We're getting close, Snow White said, gripping her sword tightly. Stay alert, Luke Fong warned. The forbidden formation doesn't just threaten us, it could destroy everything. At the heart of the sect, the group witnessed a horrifying sight. A massive forbidden formation carved deep into the ground, radiating malevolent black energy. Elder Blackheart stood at the center, his eyes glowing with madness. Do you think you can stop me? He laughed maniacally. I will summon the Dark Demon Sovereign, the most powerful evil being ever to exist. With his power, I will rule the entire cultivation world. The group charged forward to disrupt the ritual. Lin Wu led the charge, using the black dragon sword to destroy the pillars surrounding the formation. Snow White engaged Blackheart's powerful minions, her sword strikes unleashing freezing spiritual energy to block their advances. Yen Nhi deployed poison techniques to weaken enemy attacks. Luke Fong focused on analyzing the formation, seeking a way to dismantle it from within. With every passing second, the formation grows stronger. Luke Fong shouted, "We need to move faster." Despite their best efforts, the formation completed its ritual. A deafening roar echoed through the air as the Dark Demon Sovereign emerged, a massive being with glowing red eyes and a body clad in black armor. The demonic aura emanating from the Sovereign was overwhelming, pressing down on everyone like an immense weight. This is your end, Blackheart declared with a triumphant laugh. Kneel before my power. The Alliance launched a desperate attack, but the Dark Demon Sovereign's strength exceeded all expectations. Lin Wu unleashed the full power of the Black Dragon Sword, his strikes powerful yet barely scratching the Sovereign's armor. Snow White and Xuanhuan combined their spiritual freezing techniques to slow the creature's movements, but the effect was only temporary. Yen Nhi supported the group with poisons and recovery pills, but their effectiveness was limited. We can't hold out much longer, Xuanhuan panted, exhaustion evident in his voice. Luke Fong studied the formation, his eyes filled with determination. He realized that the formation was still the primary source of the Dark Demon Sovereign's power. Destroying it was their only chance. I'll destroy the formation, he said firmly. You can't do it alone. Yen Nhi cried. There's no other choice, Luke Fong replied, his voice resolute. Protect me while I work. Luke Fong charged into the center of the formation, activating a series of counter formations to disrupt its structure. Lin Wu and Snow White stood in front of him, defending against the Dark Demon Sovereign's relentless attacks. Yen Nhi used every poison in her arsenal to hold off Blackheart, preventing him from interfering. As Luke Fong's formation reached its peak, a massive explosion erupted, obliterating the forbidden formation. The Dark Demon Sovereign let out a final, pained roar before disintegrating into nothingness. When the dust settled, the group found Luke Fong lying motionless amidst the rubble. Luke Fong, Yen Nhi cried, rushing to his side, tears streaming down her face. I did it, he whispered weakly. Don't let this sacrifice be in vain. Luke Fong drew his last breath in his comrade's arms, leaving behind an indescribable grief. Though heartbroken, the group knew they could not stop. We've lost so much, Lin Wu said, his eyes blazing with determination. But for that very reason, we must fight harder. Blackheart will pay for everything he's done. His words ignited a fire of determination in everyone's hearts as they prepared for the final battle to end this nightmare once and for all. Chapter 46, Luke Fong's Sacrifice. The explosion from the forbidden formation sent a massive wave of spiritual energy rippling across the battlefield. As the smoke cleared, Lin Wu and his companions rushed to where Luke Fong lay. His body was drained, his spiritual energy nearly extinguished. Under the faint remnants of the formation's light, Luke Fong's pale face still bore eyes that burned with determination. "I can't go any further," Luke Fong said weakly. "But you must finish this." "Don't say that," Yen Nhi cried, tears streaming as she desperately tried to feed him an elixir. "You must live, you have to." "No elixir can save me now," Luke Fong replied, managing a faint smile. "But I have no regrets." Luke Fong turned to Lin Wu, his gaze filled with pride. "Lin Wu, you're the only one who can lead us to victory," he said. "Remember, true strength doesn't come from the sword, but from your will." "I won't let your sacrifice be in vain," Lin Wu said, his voice steady but heavy with emotion. Luke Fong nodded weakly, his eyes softening. "Defeat him, for all of us." With those final words, his eyes closed, leaving behind a heavy silence that enveloped the group. The group knelt around Luke Fong's body, their hearts weighed down by grief. "You're such a fool," Yen Nhi sobbed. "You always carried everything on your shoulders, but never thought about yourself." "You've done what no one else dared to do," Bak Tuyet said, her eyes red. "I won't let your sacrifice go to waste." Lin Wu rose to his feet, his eyes blazing with an unshakable determination. "We must press forward. Luke Fong gave us this chance, and we cannot squander it." The group took time to recover and prepare. Yen Nhi crafted a special elixir to restore their spiritual energy quickly. Bak Tuyet trained relentlessly with her ancient sword, honing her skills for the grueling battles ahead. Xuanhuan used his experience to devise strategies, determined to prevent further losses. Meanwhile, Lin Wu deepened his connection with the Black Dragon Sword. "You've proven yourself worthy," the Black Dragon's spirit said. "But to triumph, you must transcend even your own limits." As the group prepared, an army of malevolent forces launched a surprise attack. It was Blackheart's final strike force, sent to eliminate them before they could reach him. "They won't let us rest," Bak Tuyet said, her gaze sharp. "Then let's end this here," Lin Wu replied, raising the Black Dragon Sword. The group plunged into battle. Lin Wu led the charge, his every strike unleashing powerful waves of murderous energy, cutting down scores of enemies. Bak Tuyet showcased her swordsmanship, protecting her comrades from sudden assaults. Yen Nhi provided support from the rear, using poison techniques to weaken the enemy forces. Xuanhuan combined his vast experience with formations to control the battlefield. Despite their exhaustion, they defeated Blackheart's army, though the battle drained much of their strength. After the battle, the group gathered, their gazes fixed on the path ahead, where Elder Blackheart awaited them. "We've come this far," Xuanhuan said. "Now, only one final battle remains." "Luke Fong gave his life for this," Yen Nhi said, her eyes blazing with resolve. "I won't let his sacrifice be in vain." Lin Wu rose, lifting the Black Dragon Sword high. "We'll fight not just for ourselves but for everyone who believed in us. Let's finish this." Together, the group placed their hands on Lin Wu's sword, making a collective vow, victory at all costs. The group set out toward the place where Elder Blackheart awaited them. No words were spoken, but their eyes conveyed their resolve. Every step carried the weight of grief, loss, and an unyielding desire to achieve the final victory. Chapter 47, The Ultimate Clash. Elder Blackheart stood atop the highest peak of the sect, his eyes blazing with malevolent light. Lin Wu and his comrades entered the grand hall, where the air was thick with dark spiritual energy, creating an oppressive atmosphere. "So, you've finally arrived," Blackheart said coldly. "Do you truly believe you're strong enough to defeat me?" "You've destroyed everything this sect once stood for," Lin Wu replied, his gaze fierce. "Today, it all ends." With a wave of his hand, Blackheart summoned dozens of shadowy figures formed from sinister spiritual energy, sending them hurtling toward the group. Lin Wu took the lead, each swing of the Black Dragon Sword releasing deadly killing intent that shredded the shadowy foes. Snow White moved with agility, her ancient sword glowing brightly as she pushed back wave after wave of enemies. Yen Nhi provided support from the rear, using her poison techniques to weaken the shadow figures. Xuanhuan fended off attacks with his years of experience, every strike sharp and precise. "You are nothing but ants beneath my feet," Blackheart roared, activating a barrage of attack formations that increased the group's pressure. Raising his black staff, Blackheart summoned a massive surge of dark spiritual energy, which took the form of a colossal demon. "This is my true power," he declared, laughing maniacally. "You have no chance." The giant demon launched devastating attacks. Lin Wu struggled to block its strikes with the Black Dragon Sword, his killing intent barely mitigating its immense strength. Snow White and Xuanhuan combined their spiritual energy to create a barrier, reducing the damage from its relentless assaults. Yen Nhi worked quickly to craft emergency recovery pills for her allies. "We need to destroy his staff," Xuanhuan said urgently. "It's the source of his power." The group devised a strategy. Lin Wu and Snow White would apply direct pressure on Blackheart, forcing him to defend. Xuanhuan would create a disruptive formation to weaken the staff's protective aura. Yen Nhi would use poison to sap the staff's strength. The plan unfolded. Lin Wu charged forward, his strikes with the Black Dragon Sword unrelenting, keeping Blackheart on the defensive. Snow White used quick, precise attacks to chip away at the spiritual energy surrounding the staff. Xuanhuan summoned a blinding light formation, causing cracks to form on the staff. Yen Nhi deployed a specialized poison, further destabilizing Blackheart's control over his weapon. With a final, powerful strike from the Black Dragon Sword, Blackheart's staff shattered into pieces with a deafening explosion. "No!" Blackheart screamed as the dark spiritual energy surrounding him began to dissipate. "You've lost everything," Lin Wu said coldly. "Now, you will pay for your deeds." Even without the staff, Blackheart refused to give up. He absorbed the remaining dark energy, transforming into a monstrous, grotesque form more powerful than ever. "I'll drag you all down with me," he bellowed, charging at the group with terrifying speed. Lin Wu poured all his strength into the Black Dragon Sword, his strikes imbued with destructive killing intent. Snow White fought valiantly, each sword stroke sharp and unyielding, countering Blackheart's ferocious attacks. Yen Nhi provided critical support, using her poisons to weaken the dark energy sustaining Blackheart. Xuanhuan launched his final techniques, working to suppress the overwhelming power of their foe. Lin Wu gathered all his remaining energy for one last attack. The Black Dragon Sword blazed with a brilliant light as he unleashed a massive wave of killing intent that tore through Blackheart's monstrous body. Blackheart let out a final, agonized scream before disintegrating into nothingness. "At last, it's over," Lin Wu said, his breath heavy but his eyes resolute. The group stood amidst the ruins of the Grand Hall, finally able to breathe a sigh of relief. But the weight of Luke Fong's sacrifice still hung heavily over them. "We've won," Yen Nhi said, her voice trembling. "But the cost was too great." "Yes," Snow White replied, her expression solemn. "But his sacrifice brought hope to everyone." Lin Wu turned to his comrades, his eyes burning with determination. "We've freed the sect from darkness, but our work isn't finished. From these ruins, we'll rebuild and create a new future." Everyone nodded in agreement, understanding that this battle was only the beginning of a new journey. Chapter 48. A victory filled with loss. The Grand Hall that once symbolized Elder Blackheart's power was now reduced to rubble. Lin Wu stood amidst the battlefield, the Black Dragon Sword in his hand glowing faintly before its light dimmed, returning to its dormant state. "It's all over," Bak Tuyet said, her voice trembling. "But we've lost so much." Sobs echoed as disciples and comrades searched the ruins for survivors. Many had not returned, and those who remained carried a grief too deep for words. The ultimate artifact, the Divine Sword of Radiant Majesty, was completely destroyed when Lin Wu used it to deliver the final blow. It was the only power strong enough to defeat Blackheart, Lin Wu explained to the allied sect leaders. But the cost was unavoidable. The leaders nodded in agreement, though their eyes were heavy with sorrow. They looked toward the sect, now scarred both physically and spiritually. Yen Nhi approached Lin Wu and placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. "You accomplished what no one else dared to," she said. "You led us through the darkness." "But the price was too great," Lin Wu replied, his voice low. "Luke Fong, the disciples, they gave everything. That's why you must continue," Xuanhuan said, stepping forward. "Their sacrifices weren't meant for you to falter. You must rebuild from these ashes." The leaders of the alliance, along with the loyal elders of the sect, unanimously chose Lin Wu as the new head of the sect. "You're the only one who can lead the sect back to the right path," said Sect Master Li Tan Van of Tian Shan. "I don't seek power," Lin Wu replied, his tone resolute. "But if it means protecting those who remain and fulfilling Luke Fong's dream, I will accept." At the first gathering of surviving disciples and elders, Lin Wu stepped forward, raising the Black Dragon Sword high. "This sect once stood as a symbol of justice and strength," he began. "But the ambitions of one man tarnished it all. Today, I vow that we will rebuild this sect from the fragments left behind. There will be no place for injustice or darkness here. This will be a home we can all be proud of." Thunderous cheers echoed through the hall, reigniting the spark of hope in everyone's hearts. The reconstruction began immediately. Xuanhuan focused on healing wounded disciples and producing more elixirs to restore their spiritual energy. Bak Tuyat led the sword cultivators, helping them rebuild their skills and morale. Xuanhuan oversaw the rebuilding of facilities and reorganized the sect's defensive formations. Despite being the leader, Lin Wu worked alongside his comrades, assisting with construction and training the disciples. Day by day, the sect began to recover. Young disciples rediscovered their purpose, and the allied sect leaders committed to long-term support, forming a protective network of unity and righteousness. From this day forward, our sect is no longer just one entity, Lin Wu said during a meeting. We are part of something greater, a united alliance for justice. In moments of quiet reflection, Lin Wu often stood before the collective grave built to honor those who had fallen. I hope you're proud, Luke Fong, he whispered. We will never forget you or what you've done. The memories of Luke Fong and all who sacrificed themselves became Lin Wu's greatest source of strength to continue moving forward. Though challenges lay ahead, Lin Wu believed that with unity and determination, they could overcome anything. From here, we will write a new chapter in the history of our sect, he declared, his eyes shining with resolve. Chapter 49, Honoring the Fallen. As the sect slowly recovered, Lin Wu decided to hold a ceremony to honor those who had sacrificed their lives in the battle. This was not only a way to remember the fallen but also a reminder of the ideals and goals they must uphold. Luke Fong and everyone who has fallen deserve to be remembered forever, Lin Wu said during a meeting with the elders and allies. They are the reason we stand here today. The sect began preparations for the ceremony. Xuanhuan took charge of preparing memorial altars, inscribing the names of the fallen on commemorative plaques. Snow White trained disciples to perform a swordsmanship tribute in their honor. Xuanhuan used his experience to organize the event with solemnity and meaning. The ceremony took place in the late afternoon, as the sunset bathed the sky in red hues, as if paying tribute to the fallen souls. All the disciples and elders gathered in the grand square, where a towering memorial had been erected. At its pinnacle rested Luke Fong's sword, placed with reverence as a symbol of loyalty and sacrifice. We cannot change the past, Lin Wu began, his voice deep with emotion. But we can learn from it. Each of them fought not for themselves but for all of us. They are the true heroes. Lin Wu shared the story of Luke Fong, from his days as a quiet but talented disciple to his ultimate sacrifice in destroying the Forbidden Formation. Luke Fong was not just a comrade, Lin Wu said, his gaze fixed on the sword atop the memorial. He taught me that responsibility and loyalty are not just words but actions. Standing beside him, Xuanhuan wiped away tears as she recalled Luke Fong's final moments. He always carried a faint smile, she said, her voice trembling. But behind it was a silent sacrifice that we can never repay. The ceremony also honored all the others who had fallen in the fight against Elder Blackheart. Young disciples who had given their lives in the early battles had their names engraved on stone tablets around the square. Loyal elders who defended the sect to their last breath were remembered as guiding torches for future generations. They all deserve to be remembered, Snow White said. We cannot let their sacrifices be in vain. At the end of the ceremony, Lin Wu stepped onto the memorial platform and raised the black dragon sword high. I promise that under our leadership, this sect will never stray from the path of righteousness, he declared. We will protect and rebuild a sect where no sacrifice is in vain, where all can live and cultivate in peace. A resounding cheer erupted from the disciples and elders, their united voices shaking the air as they pledged their loyalty to the past and future. That evening, after the ceremony had concluded, Lin Wu and his closest allies sat together under the moonlight. This is the first time I feel like things are truly changing, Xuanhuan said, gazing at the sky. But the fight isn't over, Snow White replied solemnly. There are still dark forces out there. True, Lin Wu said. But now we're stronger, not just in power but in trust and friendship. Though the ceremony had ended, Lin Wu's group knew that the path ahead was still fraught with challenges. Xuanhuan began crafting new pills to aid the group in future battles. Snow White continued training with her ancient sword, ready to face any foe. Xuanhuan researched advanced formations to better protect the sect from future attacks. This time, we won't just react, Lin Wu said. We'll take the fight to the dark forces and eliminate them before they can harm anyone else. As dawn broke, the sect awakened to a new day with renewed strength. Young disciples looked up at the memorial with eyes full of hope. We'll make them proud, one disciple said to another. Yes, the other replied. Because they gave everything for us to have this chance. Standing before the memorial one last time, Lin Wu silently vowed to Luke Fong and all the fallen. We will not stop, he whispered. We will move forward, not just for ourselves but for everyone who believed in justice. Welcome to Fantasy Realms. Enjoy the story, and thank you for your support. Chapter 50. A New Journey. After the honoring ceremony, Lin Wu spent days investigating strange occurrences in the cultivation world. One morning, as dawn cast its golden glow over the sect, a peculiar surge of spiritual energy appeared on the northern horizon. This energy is unnatural, Xuanhuan observed. It's a sign of a malevolent force rising. Bak Tuyet frowned, her hand resting on her sword's hilt. We can't wait. If they grow stronger, everything will plunge into darkness again. I agree, Lin Wu said firmly. But this time, we won't fight alone. Lin Wu sent invitations to the allied sects formed during the recent war. Leaders and elite disciples from each sect soon arrived at the sect's gates. We fought together once, said Sect Master Li Tan Van of Tianshan. And we're ready to do it again. But this time, we must be proactive, added Nok Lin, leader of Zan Shui sect. The malevolent forces won't wait, and neither can we. Standing before the sect leaders, Lin Wu's gaze was resolute. This battle isn't just about protecting one sect or faction. This is a fight to protect the entire cultivation world. Lin Wu's group meticulously prepared for the mission. Yen Nhi crafted special elixirs to protect their souls and enhance spiritual energy, anticipating encounters with malevolent formations. Bak Tuyet trained the sword cultivators, focusing on coordinated strategies for large-scale battles. Xuanhuan developed mobile defensive formations to ensure the group's safety during their journey through treacherous territories. As days passed, the sect buzzed with both tension and determination. One morning, Lin Wu's group and their allied forces gathered at the sect's grand gate. We don't know exactly what awaits us, Bak Tuyet said, her eyes sharp. But that doesn't matter. We'll face whatever comes. This isn't just a responsibility, Yen Nhi added. It's our mission. Lin Wu nodded, raising the black dragon sword. Let's go, for justice. The united forces set off, heading north toward the source of the growing malevolent energy. As they traversed desolate regions, the group encountered spirit beasts corrupted by the malevolent energy. Lin Wu led the charge, his powerful and precise sword strikes protecting the group from ambushes. Yen Nhi used her poison techniques to weaken the beasts, allowing her comrades to eliminate them efficiently. Bak Tuyet and the sword cultivators formed a tight defensive formation, repelling wave after wave of attacks. Though victorious, they quickly realized the corruption not only mutated spirit beasts but also posed a threat to the souls of cultivators. We must be cautious, Xuanhuan warned. If this corruption spreads, none of us will be safe. In a small village near the corrupted zone, the group discovered that the residents had either been kidnapped or transformed into twisted creatures. A lone survivor, barely clinging to life, whispered, "They came in the night, bringing darkness and fear." They spoke of a ruler named the Black Sovereign. The Black Sovereign? Bak Tuyet frowned. Who is that? We'll find out, Lin Wu said, his eyes blazing with resolve. But first, we must destroy this corruption. The group uncovered a massive formation deep within a canyon, the source of the spreading corruption. We have to destroy it, Yen Nhi said, staring at the bizarre symbols etched into the ground. As they moved closer, the formation activated, summoning an army of malevolent spirits. Lin Wu charged into battle, using the black dragon sword to dismantle pieces of the formation while his comrades protected him. Bak Tuyet and Xuanhuan led the sword cultivators, cutting through waves of spirits. Yen Nhi quickly employed her poison techniques to weaken the formation, creating an opening for Lin Wu to deliver the final blow. After an intense battle, the formation was destroyed, and the corruption in the area began to dissipate. As the corruption faded, a chilling voice echoed from the void. "Do you think you can stop me?" It sneered, cold and authoritative. "The Black Sovereign will rise, and none of you will survive." "We're not afraid of you," Lin Wu declared, raising his sword. "Justice will always prevail." The voice vanished, leaving the group with more questions, and an even stronger determination to fight. Upon returning to the sect, Lin Wu gathered all the allied leaders and disciples to share their findings. "The Black Sovereign is a new threat," he said. "But we won't let him repeat what Blackheart did. We will find him and destroy him before it's too late." Everyone nodded, their resolve unwavering. Under a starry sky, Lin Wu's group stood together, their eyes fixed on the northern horizon. "Our journey isn't over yet," Yen Nhi said, a faint smile on her lips. "But we'll face whatever comes together," Bak Tuyet replied, her gaze steely. "Exactly," Lin Wu said, gripping the black dragon sword tightly. "Darkness may rise, but the light of justice will never fade." With those words, they prepared for a new journey, not just for their sect, but for the entire cultivation world.